Today I'm gonna go over the hamstring stretch, the intricacies of a hamstring stretch, so you can benefit from getting the hamstring crossing at the knee joint, the calf crossing at the knee joint, and then plantaris and popliteus, which actually sit back here as well. These muscles oppose the action of the quadricep, and why a lot of people find it extremely difficult to get the legs straight, getting those knee extensors active, to help with knee integrity, and it's painful. This is why a lot of people don't like to do it as well, okay? And I see my class do it quite often, and I can't let them, basically. Because if you find yourself seated a good portion of the day, okay, I'm not gonna get in a chair, but I'm basically seated, your hip flexors become short and tight, the glutes and the hamstring at the hip attachment, long and weak. The lumbar extensors can be short and tight. Lower abdominals can become short and tight or long and weak, depending on what's going on. Extensors at the knee, long and weak. Hamstrings at the knee and the calf crossing at this knee joint become short and tight, okay? It's a train wreck, basically, okay? So if I'm doing this seated, of course, we want the sits bones to be right up on top. We want to be right up on top of the sits bones, and that sacrum perpendicular to the floor. There's quite a number of people who are not able to do that, and they get sucked under, okay? And sometimes putting them up on top of a bolster or a block is not really helpful for them in this position. So I've really stopped stretching both hamstrings at the same time if I'm actually after for a good hamstring release, okay? So I do single leg work, and as soon as I do single leg work, those people still are sucked under because we got to do some more things for them. I don't slide the foot all the way up where the heel comes up into the groin, because if I do that, the pelvis goes that direction, and then I've got to rotate into the stretch, and it becomes more a low back stretch on the opposite side, which if that's your intention, fabulous, okay? As you slide your foot up your leg, the head of the humerus, or I'm sorry, the head of the femur has to rotate inside that hip socket, and everybody's position inside that hip socket is substantially different. Now, I could probably square up just because I know my hips, but there's a lot of people who can't, okay? And so I will always set up for my class this way, because your class will follow what you're doing, because it's monkey see, monkey do. And that's not disrespectful, it's just how we learn, because I do it as well, okay? Now, this still won't stop people from being sucked under, because they're trying, I gotta get my knee, I gotta get my foot, and they don't actually have to get their foot from this position, because now they're just simply overstretching the lower back, upper back, chronically, probably contracting the extensors and shrugging the shoulders, so that's an illusion that they're stretching. They're actually creating more tension. So if they put a bend into the knee, almost inevitably they'll be able to get right up on top of those sits bones, because the tightness is here, not here. And if I stretch here, that actually does not help here. And that's actually quite obvious, okay? If they can reach their foot at the ball of the foot, not the toes, it's not to crank on the toes. They'll do that when they're avoiding the stretch. It is to pull on those feet and to keep it tense, and then they can start to stretch out. And they'll begin to feel this stretch right here, and they'll make substantial gains if they stay this way. And work this stretch the way that it's meant to be stretched, which is not rounding and shoving yourself into the stretch. It is finding length, and the intention is working here. If they have to back out, move into it, fine. that's not a big deal. They can rotate. You will feel this big tightness sitting right behind the knee, and it's painful because it needs to be stretched, okay? So if it's too much for people, just back out. Give your body a break and then move back into it. And then just simply, obviously, switch sides if they can get a hold of that foot. If they're gonna use this strap though, okay, just go around the ball of the foot, palms up, and this way you can use your biceps and your upper back to help pull you into a stretch. If you do this, again, you're just shrugging, and it's you're not going to get anywhere, and you're simply going to avoid the area that is needing the stretch. Okay, next video will be lying down.